Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle.
Is the WNBA trying to break Caitlin Clark? That question has exploded across sports media ever since she stepped onto a professional court with a giant target seemingly painted on her back. Every hard foul, every aggressive collision, and every bruising defensive possession fueled the growing belief that the league's newest superstar was being thrown into a deliberate trial by fire. But the reality behind the chaos is far more strategic than emotional. At the center of the storm stands Stephanie White, head coach of the Connecticut Sun, a team built on toughness, physicality, and relentless defense. White did not roll out the red carpet for Clark's arrival. Instead, she crafted a game plan designed to test every part of Clark's game, physically, mentally, and emotionally. From the opening tip, Clark was pressured nonstop by defenders like Dejonai Carrington, who denied her space, fought over every screen, and turned every possession into a battle. To casual fans, it looked personal and even hostile. But to veteran basketball minds, it looked like the ultimate form of respect. White publicly admitted her strategy was to make Clark uncomfortable, deny her rhythm, and force her into difficult situations because that is exactly how elite teams defend generational talent. The message was clear. If Clark wanted to dominate the WNBA, she would have to survive the most physical defensive culture the league could throw at her. The result was a media firestorm that quickly spiraled beyond basketball. Debate shows argued daily over whether Clark was being unfairly targeted or simply experiencing the same brutal welcome every superstar faces. Some analysts compared it to the famous Jordan rules once used against Michael Jordan, while others accused the league of jealousy toward the rookie driving record ratings, sold-out arenas, and massive financial growth. Social media exploded with clips of hard fouls and heated moments, turning every fever game into a national event. Yet through all the noise, the most surprising part of the story was Clark's response. Instead of publicly lashing out or backing down, she continued to absorb the pressure while carrying the impossible expectations of being labeled the future of women's basketball. Every game became more than a competition. It became a psychological test played under a national spotlight. What looked from the outside like a league trying to break Caitlin Clark may actually have been the league demanding she prove she could survive it. And in the process, her battle against teams like Stephanie White's Connecticut Sun transformed her rookie season into one of the most watched and emotionally charged stories the sport has ever seen. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA under a level of pressure and expectation almost no athlete has ever faced, transitioning from the unquestioned superstar of Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball, where every possession revolved around her brilliance, into a professional league filled with stronger, faster, and far more physical defenders determined to test whether her game could truly survive at the highest level. The adjustment alone would have been difficult for any rookie, but what made Clark's first season so emotionally exhausting was the nonstop intensity surrounding her every move. Every hard foul became a viral clip, every missed shot became a headline, and every emotional reaction sparked another national debate about whether the league's veterans were trying to humble the rookie phenom who had suddenly become the face of women's basketball. Night after night, Clark walked into hostile arenas carrying not only the hopes of her franchise, but the enormous expectations of an entire sport experiencing unprecedented attention because of her presence. The physicality she faced was relentless, especially against teams like the Connecticut Sun coached by Stephanie White, whose aggressive defensive blueprint quickly became the model for how opponents approached Clark. She was denied the ball full court, bumped constantly off screens, trapped aggressively, and forced into exhausting battles on nearly every possession. To casual fans, it looked personal and unfair, but to veteran coaches and players, it was the ultimate test of whether Clark could handle the reality of professional basketball. Behind her composed public demeanor, the frustration was clearly real. No competitor enjoys constantly getting knocked to the floor, absorbing hard contact, or feeling like every mistake is magnified under a national microscope. Yet despite all the chaos surrounding her, Clark refused to publicly complain or portray herself as a victim. The media waited desperately for an emotional outburst, a press conference meltdown, or a controversial quote blaming referees or opponents for targeting her, but that moment never came. Instead, after another brutally physical game, Clark walked into the post-game press conference and delivered what became one of the defining statements of her rookie season. Calm, focused, and remarkably mature for a young player under enormous pressure, she acknowledged the physicality without bitterness, calling it part of competing in the best league in the world. She praised her opponents for their toughness, respected the strategies being used against her, and explained that her focus was not on fouls, media drama, or speculation, but on improving, learning from film, adapting to the contact, and helping her team win basketball games. In a single moment, she completely flipped the narrative surrounding her career. Suddenly, it became impossible to keep portraying her as fragile or overwhelmed because Clark herself refused to embrace that identity. Her words transformed what many fans had framed as a personal attack by the league into something much more compelling, a battle between a rising superstar and elite veterans determined to force her to earn everything. Even Stephanie White, once painted by some fans as the villain of the story, openly praised Clark's mindset and toughness afterward, acknowledging her as a true competitor capable of handling the pressure. From that point forward, the rivalry between Clark and the league's toughest teams evolved into one of the most fascinating storylines in sports, no longer centered on controversy alone, but on adaptation, growth, and resilience. Clark began learning how to counter the physical defense by making quicker decisions, using screens more effectively, avoiding unnecessary contact, and adjusting to the speed and brutality of the professional game. What was initially designed to test and intimidate her instead became the process that strengthened her mentally and physically, forging her into a smarter and more complete player. The harsh welcome to the league did not break Caitlin Clark. It accelerated her evolution, transforming the pressure, criticism, and physical battles into the foundation of what could become one of the defining careers in modern basketball history.